What if humans could only communicate by singing? This question comes from linguist Dr. Isabella Vargas, who asks if a mysterious neurological change made it impossible for humans to speak normally, forcing all communication to be melodic and sung rather than spoken. How would this transformation affect language, society, and human relationships? Let's imagine it's a quiet Tuesday morning when people worldwide wake up with an inexplicable inability to produce normal speech sounds. Every attempt to speak comes out as melody, conversations become songs, arguments become operatic duets, and even mundane requests like asking for coffee transform into improvised musical performances. Within hours, humanity realizes that our vocal cords and brain language centers have been fundamentally rewired overnight. The immediate chaos would be extraordinary. Business meetings would devolve into corporate musicals as executives struggle to negotiate contracts through improvised ballads. Emergency services would face unprecedented challenges as 911 operators try to understand distress calls delivered as frantic arias. Airports would echo with traveler announcements sung in various keys, creating cacophonous symphonies of departure times and gate changes. But within the first week, something remarkable would begin emerging from the chaos. Humans would instinctively start developing musical language conventions. Certain melodies would become associated with specific meanings, rising notes for questions, minor keys for sadness, major keys for happiness. The human brain's incredible adaptability would begin creating an entirely new form of communication that combines linguistic meaning with emotional musical expression. Children would adapt fastest, turning playgrounds into spontaneous opera houses where simple games like tag become elaborate musical productions. Schools would transform as teachers learn to conduct lessons through song, discovering that students actually retain information better when it's delivered melodically. Mathematics would be taught through rhythmic chants, history through epic ballads, and science through harmonic explanations of natural phenomena. The most profound change would be in human relationships. It would become impossible to lie effectively when every word must be sung with genuine emotion. Deception requires a flat, controlled tone that melody naturally exposes as false. Marriages would either become incredibly honest and intimate, or they would fail quickly as partners could no longer hide their true feelings behind neutral speech patterns. International diplomacy would face a revolution. UN meetings would become vast choral performances where world leaders must harmonize literally and figuratively to reach agreements. Wars would become nearly impossible to conduct because military orders delivered, as songs would reveal the emotional cost of violence to both commanders and soldiers. But after several months of sung-only communication, society would notice unexpected negative consequences. Complex technical discussions would become extremely difficult. Scientific conferences would struggle as researchers find it nearly impossible to explain intricate theories through melody. Legal proceedings would become chaotic as precise legal language proves incompatible with musical expression. The economy would face fundamental restructuring. The music industry would explode as every human interaction requires musical skill, while industries dependent on rapid, precise verbal communication would struggle. Call centers would become employment centers for trained vocalists. Customer service would improve dramatically as complaints delivered through sad songs would evoke genuine empathy from representatives. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. After exactly 1 year of global singing-only communication, linguists would make a startling discovery. The singing isn't random, it's following mathematical patterns that don't exist in any known human language or musical tradition. The melodies people instinctively choose contain complex harmonic relationships that seem to encode information far beyond the simple words being sung. Analysis would reveal that humans aren't just singing words, they're unconsciously broadcasting emotional and cognitive data through harmonic frequencies. Every conversation has become a multi-layered information exchange where surface meaning is accompanied by deep psychological and even physiological data transmitted through musical intervals. Even more remarkably, this harmonic communication would prove to be incredibly efficient. Relationships would become more authentic as people can sense each other's true emotional states through vocal harmonics. Mental health issues would be detected early as depression and anxiety create distinctive musical signatures. Medical diagnoses would become more accurate as doctors learn to hear illness patterns in patients' sung symptoms. But the most shocking revelation would come from analyzing recordings of humans singing from before the transformation. Computer analysis would reveal that this harmonic information exchange has always existed in human speech, we've simply been unconscious of it. The mysterious change that forced humans to sing didn't add new capabilities, it awakened abilities that had been dormant in human vocal communication for thousands of years. The final twist would be that this awakening wasn't accidental. Archaeological evidence would emerge showing that ancient human civilizations communicated primarily through song, with complex harmonic languages that could convey multiple layers of meaning simultaneously. The transformation wasn't a neurological malfunction, it was humanity returning to our original, more sophisticated form of communication. Cave paintings and ancient artifacts would suddenly make sense when interpreted as musical notation rather than purely visual art. Humanity would realize that we had actually devolved from a species capable of harmonic information exchange to one dependent on the primitive, limited communication method we called normal speech. The day humans could only communicate by singing would mark not the loss of language, but the recovery of our species' true linguistic heritage, a return to a form of communication so advanced that it makes conscious the emotional and psychological connections that regular speech keeps hidden, revealing that our ancestors were far more sophisticated communicators than we ever imagined.